Welcome to Wild Kampfer. Well, it's been a while since I've done a little video, and I had all sorts of ideas planned for wild camping, but the weather has been horrendous. It's been the worst year for rain that I've ever experienced in the outdoors. I'm sure it's the same for you if you live in England. So I booked myself a little shepherd's hut for a couple of nights. I'm going to do a bit of walking. It's a beautiful part of the country. They were down in South Shropshire. And I bought myself a little book, which I'll show you in a second. And later on, I'm going to show you inside the hut. It's beautiful. You can see the chimney there. It's got a little wood burner. I'll be sitting outside there with a beer and a book to read as well, which I'll show you in a moment. Yeah, so for the next day or so, I'm going to just be going out exploring some of these routes. There's 26 routes in this book. All around the area of Clon, Craven Arms, Ludlow, Bishop's Castle. Beautiful scenery, rolling hills, and each walk in the book, they're circular walks, and they're about between 5 and 7 miles, and they've all got something of interest on there, whether it's like a hill fort or a tea house or something, an ancient monument, something like that. So I'm going to be doing that over the next couple of days. A little later on, I'll show you inside my shepherd's hut. It's got a little wood burning stove. It's beautiful. I could quite take to it over the wild camping, but I'm not going to change the name on my channel. And as far as books go, there's one other little book that I've brought with me, which I'm going to try and really get into while I'm sitting outside my shepherd's hut, maybe having a beer. I'll show you what it is. This is the book I picked up, Walking the Old Ways of South Shropshire. Well, I'm going to be reading this, The Warwolf by Hermann Lons. It's a fictional account of the 30 Years' War, where the German peasantry were under attack from militia from all different sides, different countries, all vying for power in Germany. So apparently it's an excellent book. I've just started reading this one. It's the English translation, obviously. It's got absolutely loads of footnotes in there. I think it's going to be very interesting, and maybe if you haven't read that, take a look at it. Well, here's the walk I'm going to do to start with. It's around Clungunford, nearly 8 miles. It'll take me a little while because I'll be reading the notes in the book on the way, and there's no rush. It's all about taking our time and just enjoying the scenery, and it is absolutely beautiful. Well, I thought I'd wear my Tilly hat today for this walk, seeing as the sun's shining for a change. They're a touch on the expensive side, but this one just caught my attention really because the hat is called the Wanderer, which is another name for Odin. There's nothing better than walking and sort of wandering around the lanes and the highways and byways, and just thinking about the people that would have walked these roads and lanes, moving their cattle and sheep, the drovers, in all those times gone by, your ancestors. And it's just an amazing thing to do. I just like to get out and about, and I encourage anyone to do it really. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of planning, but the main thing it takes is just that little bit of motivation. Just say get up, get out there and go. Don't make excuses. Really, there's no need to make excuses. Whole life is based around excuses these days, and really once you get out there you realise it's actually pretty easy to just chuck some stuff in a bag, get out walking, grab your map and go for it. Let me give you a little example of the directions we get in these guidebooks. This one is really good. Here we go. Shortly before you reach the final crest, that's going up this hill here, with its line of trees on the right, there we go, you come to a small metal gate in the field boundary on your right, which will be in that fence up the top there, and it says then you turn to the left to see the tree in the middle of the field, and then I'm going to be walking down from that tree to the corner of the field to find another gate. So these guidebooks are really good. What I would caution though is to take your time. This walk is just under 8 miles, and you know, if you calculate in your head for walking 4 miles an hour, you think, oh, I'll do that in a couple of hours, but that's not the way to go about it. It's a real good exercise in slowing down. You want to read the guidebook as you go, because there's all sorts of interesting little things you can read about on the way. Also, even though it's a very accurate guidebook, you're going to make little mistakes. Go the wrong side of a hedgerow through a gate or something like that, and then you got to double back, come back the other way, go around. Plus it's hilly, you know, you don't see the hills on a map. You know, you want to take your time, and you don't want to be racing around. We race through life much too much. You want to be taking your time. You want to be thinking, I'm going to stop somewhere for lunch, take your sandwiches with you, it's just take your time, slow down. That's a lesson we all need to learn. We're going down a steep embankment, down a very overgrown path, and there is, beautifully laid out, the little village of Clonbury. And it's lovely to wear shorts, but you have to bear in mind that sometimes, after the rain and the warm weather, these paths can get a little bit overgrown, scratching your legs as you go through. Look at that, beautiful. There's nowhere more beautiful in the world. Well, here we are at Clonbury Church. Bury, referring to it being a Saxon settlement, but it says in the guidebook this church is of Norman construction. But it's certainly an old graveyard, because there's plenty of tombstones there that are so old that all the writing has just been worn away. And of course, being an ancient churchyard, it's also home to a very ancient yew tree. Well, we've got a nice peaceful spot here. I've found a bench in the churchyard to have my lunch, and I just thought I'd quickly give you a top tip for when you're out hiking. Here we go then, here's my lunch. Just a basic fare really, a nice Cornish pasty, crisps and so on. But instead of lugging around cool blocks and taking extra weight that you don't really need, all you need to do is freeze one of your bottles of water. That'll keep your pasty cool, or whatever you want to take with you, and then obviously the water will soon be able to drink when the ice melts, so you're not taking any extra weight unnecessarily. Okay, so we've had lunch. That was really nice, very relaxing. So next stop, let's see, Hopton Castle. Well, here we are at Hopton Castle. It's essentially a folly, although that sounds a bit harsh. It's a fortified house, a house made to look like a castle, built by the de Hoptons in the late 13th or early 14th century. Norman, of course. The farmer forgot to put a path through this field. I've used my compass, I know exactly where I am, and I know I'm on the right path. I'm just having a little think now as I walk sort of waist high through this wheat field about what I'm going to do a little bit later. At the end of this walk, I'll finish up in Clungumford. There's a little church right at the end, not far from where I've parked the car, so I'll have a little look around that one too. And then I think it's a bit of a shower back at the Shepherd's Hut, and then pop into a local town for some fish and chips, back to the hut, settle down with a beer maybe, and read some of my Warwolf book. I might read a little bit of an excerpt from that before lighting the log burner. And I certainly don't need the log burner today because it's boiling hot, but Just maybe one log on there to give it a little bit of a glow. But I tell you what, look at this. Absolutely beautiful. You can travel miles and miles and miles from home looking for holidays and things like that. And in this country you don't really have to travel too far to find you know, beautiful rolling hills, green fields, rivers, streams, mountains, whatever. You know, at worst case you've got half a day's travel, probably a lot less than that. In my case this was an hour and a half from my house. Make the effort, it's worth it. Well, there's the beautiful River Clun. There we are, Clungonford Church. A nice, peaceful, tranquil grounds with an apple tree, which is very nice. Well, I've had an excellent couple of days walking the hills of South Shropshire. It's been absolutely fantastic. The evening's drawing in. I've just been there and got myself some fish and chips from the local town, which has been really enjoyable after a big day out. So I'm settling in now with my beer. So cheers. And I'm going to spend the evening reading the book I talked about. It's The Warwolf by Hermann Lons. And I'll just read you a little bit of the blurb from the back because it's such a good book. I've read the first 2 or 3 chapters and I'm really enjoying it. Very well researched. So the 30 Years' War, fought between 1618 and 1648, was a ruthless struggle for political and religious control of Central Europe. Based on the author's careful research, and it is very well researched, there's loads of footnotes, and it's a novel but it's historically accurate. It's fantastic. The Warwolf traces the life of Hermann Lons, a land-owning peasant farmer of the northern German heath, who realises after witnessing the murder of his neighbours and family at the hands of marauding troops that he has a choice between compromising his morals or succumbing to inevitable torture and death. That's a bit of a light reading for the evening time, so I'm going to enjoy that. When it gets a bit cooler, I'm going to get in the shepherd's hut there and I'm going to get that wood burning stove lit. Just one log on there, just for effect. It's not too cold really. So get yourself out there, get walking, get yourself away on your own. Walk the highways and byways and the country lanes of the land where your ancestors walked. Remember that. This is our land. It'll bring you closer. It'll bring you closer to your history, closer to your own land, and put you in touch with your ancestors. So we'll sail. Get out there and enjoy yourselves.